a proper Lincolnshire sunrise. Well, welcome back to another video, and more specifically welcome to my wonderful hometown of Gainsborough. Now, Gainsborough is a small town in Lincolnshire, in West Lindsey. It shares a very close border with Nottinghamshire, which is literally there. South Yorkshire is maybe 9 miles that way or so. It lies in the middle of Lincoln that way, Scunthorpe that way, and Doncaster that way. So we'll start our little trip into Gainsborough at the Trent Bridge, completed in 1791, and up until 1932 was a toll bridge, and those two white buildings there, they're the old toll houses, and it carries the A631 into Nottinghamshire and Yorkshire, and that way towards the east coast in Lincolnshire. Good morning, welcome back. So looking forward to doing this one. So looking forward to doing it. Been wanting to do it for ages, but just getting the right time. I've had to come up really early because I'm still not kind of comfortable doing this in where I know there's going to be loads of people. So it's really early on a Sunday morning. So excuse the quietness. But yeah, really looking forward to it. Showing you around a little nostalgic trip around my hometown. I've lived here for 41 years of my life, so we'll talk about some of the history, incredible history, some of the little known history, show you some of the little highlights of the town. Generally going to have a wander around and have a chat to you about it. So we're starting, as I say, alongside the River Trent, third longest in the country. And the town is absolutely dominated by it. The town on the Trent is what it's known locally. And it was pretty much built along the industry which was along the river. These old warehouses, which are now, a lot of them are now apartment blocks. So I'm trying not to film so much of that first thing on a Sunday morning. But this Riverside walk now, you can walk from the Trent Bridge where we started right into the village of Morton, which is about 2.5–3 miles down river. But during its heyday, it was England's most inland port. So our first little bit of Gainsborough history. If you're into literature, and you know the book The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot, that building just there on the end there, I'm pointing in the right place there. She stayed there for a few days, and the town of St Ogg's, which is in the Mill on the Floss, is actually based on Gainsborough. And if you read the book, there's a reference to that beautiful willow tree there. There's a reference to the bridge, and there's a reference to Gainsborough's Old Hall as well, which we will come to shortly. Right, so we're just heading into the town centre now, and this is all very new. This is only opened, I think this opened last week, this little sort of seating area here, so it's the first time I've seen this. We'll check it out, because we've got a few bob from the old levelling up fund of the government. Baltic Mill, this is where the Baltic Mill stood, I do believe, that's why it's called Baltic Mill. This is quite nice. Up until about a year ago, this was like a bit of waste ground. So obviously all these industrial buildings used to run all the way down the river, and there's a really important one we've got to talk about just down there, but we'll get to that shortly. Yeah, quite nice actually. Nice place to put your feet up and watch the ball go by. So cast your minds back, way back to July 1013, and a Dane, Sweyn Forkbeard, arrives in Gainsborough, along with his son Canute. Remember his name, we'll come to him shortly. And Sweyn defeats the English opposition and subsequently declared King of England. And Sweyn and his son returned to Gainsborough Castle, which is, or used to be, about a mile or so that way, and declared Gainsborough, our little town on the Trent, the capital of England. Although it was quite short-lived, Gainsborough's little time in the spotlight being capital of England and Denmark lasted for the whole 5 weeks before Sweyn died. Now the Trent in Gainsborough's tidal, and right on cue, God Mother Nature is literally just turned. So the Trent's at low tide at the minute, but you might be able to see all them bits of crap floating that way. So that means the tide's coming in from the sea. But the river is very low because we've had no rain for weeks. About a month we've had no rain, so the river is very, very low at the minute. But anyway, I digress. So you remember our old friend Canute, Sweyn's son? Now you might be aware of the story of Canute trying to turn back the tide, believing that there's an even greater power than the king, the power of the tides. And it's said that Canute demonstrated this attempt at turning back the tide right here in Gainsborough. So we get a tidal bore in Gainsborough called the Eiger, again dating back to our Norse history, which is basically a tidal bore that comes down, and it's believed that Canute, in his infinite wisdom, tried to turn that tidal bore back, and obviously failed. It does look beautiful on a lovely morning like this. I love being beside this river. Fascinated by it since I was a kid. Now, not only does Gainsborough have a brilliant historical heritage and history, it's also got a arguably world famous manufacturing heritage too. The most famous being the Rose Brothers engineering firm, which is based just alongside the river down here. Now in 1938 they invented the world's first packaging machine that could individually wrap different shaped sweets, and later that year a certain Mr. Cadbury came along, saw that there was this new way of wrapping sweets and packaging them, and he thought, I'll have a bit of that. And so the world's famous Rose's chocolates were born. So the next time you're tucking into them roses at Christmas, their little story started right here along the River Trent in Gainsborough. And the Rose Brothers manufacturing firm also contributed to our World War II effort. They were responsible for designing the rear turret on our beautiful Lancaster bombers. But their factory's all gone now, it's just a bit of waste ground. Alright, and so we've reached, which is undoubtedly Gainsborough's little jewel in its crown, the Gainsborough Old Hall. It's one of the best preserved medieval manor houses in Britain. Built between 1460 and 1480 by Thomas Burr. And even King Richard III and King Henry VIII have both visited and stayed at the hall. So if you came to school in Gainsborough, if it came to school trip day, you had two choices. You either came here, or you made a short trip over the river to Pet's Corner, the greatest place in the whole wide world bar none. But as we're doing the video about Gainsborough, we're going to pop inside albeit when it opens, as it's still super early. So by the magic of time travel, we're going to pop inside when it opens, and I'll see you all shortly. So welcome to Gainsborough Old Hall. This is a great hall. Proper little nostalgia trip, this one. I've not been in here since, I think I took my daughter in here about 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Great little place to come and visit if you're ever in Gainsborough. It's one of them places where you get a proper sense of like the history of it. Right, let's go for a quick wander around. I love the smell of these places. It's got that old wood smell. One of them weird smells. This is the room where the ghost of Old Hall is. The Grey Lady. Sometimes pops up every now and again, supposedly. I wanted to go up onto the tower, but it's really windy today and it's shut, which is a shame. Medieval crapper. Right, so that concludes our little tour of the old hall, and I shall see you down there. Back in the past, this morning, 4 hours ago, at the cenotaph. Tell you what, life at 6 AM on a late sunny spring morning is beautiful. Right, so I've just got into the grounds of the biggest church in town. The All Saints Parish Church. It was rebuilt in the 18th century. With just the 14th century tower remaining of the original church. Beauty of a building. Absolute beauty of a morning, just bird song, bit of wind, all the roses are coming out, look. Right, so we've reached the Northome, home of Gainsborough Trinity FC, the oldest single team ground in the world, and the brightest TV screen you've ever seen in your life. If you're from Gainsborough, and if you know, you know. Yeah, even our football team's got quite a famous history, because on the 6th of September 1902, Gainsborough Trinity were the very first team to play Manchester United, when Manchester United changed the name from Newton Heath. So we all started for Manchester United against Gainsborough Trinity in 1902. So we've reached Marshall's Yard. This is Gainsborough's little shopping centre. It stands on the site of the former Britannia Works. And Marshalls were a massive employer in the town. Easily the biggest, and they used to manufacture agricultural machinery, steam engines. You can see Britannia up there, Britannia House. Now it's all been given up to shopping, and if you're in need of glasses or you're a coffee addict, Marshall's Yard's definitely the place to go. Right, so we've reached the very centre of Gainsborough, the Market Square. It used to be a massive, thriving market town. Every Saturday and I think it's every Saturday and Tuesday, but now we only get a very small one once a week, I do believe, and a bigger market over in Marshall's Yard. But we are getting a cinema built. That's going to be open in a couple of months. The old Gainsborough Town Hall. Yeah, it used to be absolutely thriving. I remember coming down here when I was a kid, you know, sort of 30 years ago. All down here, that was full. But now, like a lot of these market towns, what with the rise of the retail park and online shopping and stuff, it's just kind of died a bit of a death, like everywhere else. Shame, really. Anyway, so you remember our two friends from before, Canute and Swain Forkbeard? What better way to be remembered than having a Wetherspoons named after you? I'm not sure what that chain is, but anyway, we've got Canute and Swain Forkbeard. So that concludes our little early Sunday morning walk of my amazing hometown of Gainsborough. Gets a lot of bad stick, Gainsborough, but it's like anywhere, I suppose. You got good parts and you got bad parts, but I'm proud of where I come from, proud of my roots, proud of where I live. I think everybody should be. Everybody should be. But anyway, I digress. Thanks for watching, thanks for coming along. As always, thanks for listening to my inane drivel. And I shall see you on the next video, wherever that may be.